Jay here. Welcome to the second topography principle video, another tutorial in the daily life of a motion designer. In the previous episode, topography principle number 1, we explored the range selector tool and used animation properties to move a text block. Now let's dive into the second topography principle. The second principle, animated range selector with fixed properties. In this section, we will create smoother dynamic motions based on characters, words, or lines. By adding a fixed value for a property and animating a range selector parameters, we will see the property's effect before and after it's applied, watching how it flows through the text. This is where animating characters sequentially can lead to fluid, engaging animations. Let's start with a quick recap of the first principle. In this example, we have a rotation and fill color properties animated from -45 to +45 degrees. Keyframes for rotation and fill color are repeated, red to blue and back. The range selector on the first and the last characters limits these properties. Reviewing range selector layers. Turning off the second range selector reveals the first one, where I edited the end parameters from 100 to 8, limiting the action range for the properties. Adding a second range selector. Add selector range. Placed my action on the last R by positioning the start value. Let's add a new range for the G character. The fill color and the rotation are animated and limited between the fixed range. Adding a skew animator. Next, I created a new skew animation with 20 for a skew and animated the skew axis. The range selector shows where this animation takes effect. Remember, feel free to combine animators or range selectors to create unique text animations. The first principle mainly illustrates how your animator properties interact through the range selector. Principle 2. Animated range selector with fixed properties. Let's begin by creating a new composition, typing topography principle 02. And adding a position property by pushing it left. Adjusting the start value shows characters entering the scene one by one. Characters animate sequentially, moving from the first to the last. To reverse, we can animate the end parameters. Set a start keyframe at 0 seconds with a value of 0. At 4 seconds, set it to 100. Now change the Y position value to 500 instead of the X value. Add a rotation parameter. Then set it to 100 degrees, which makes the animation more dynamic. Next, apply the scale. Set it to 50. And preview. The range selector keyframes animate the position and rotation from the current value to the default value. It means, for example, the scale value will move from 50, the current value, to 100, the default value, and the other properties, so on and so forth. Exploring the advanced options under the Advanced tab. Units. Switching from percentage to index treats each character as a separate unit. Each character has a specific index number starting from 0. The range selector can then affect characters, words, lines, or characters excluding spaces. Allows you to animate only the characters in the text layer while ignoring any spaces between words. Mode allows transformations to act like mask options, influencing how characters animate when applying transformations like position, scale, or rotation. Amount, the main drive of property values. By default, it is set to 100%. Lowering this value reduces the levels of position, rotation, and scale, or even reverses them. We'll look at shape in upcoming episodes. But the smoothness here controls transition smoothness, affecting property distribution across the range. Ease high and ease low. These adjust the easing effect toward the start or end the animation, helping create the smoother beginnings or ends. Let me clarify this item. In the second principle, there are two types of motions. One, property-based. The movement we adjust for the characters like position, scale, and rotation. For example, adjusting 500 for Y position. 2. Range-based. The movement flows sequentially across the range selector. The property-based moves the characters from the current value, 500 for the Y position, to the default value, 0 for the Y position. The range-based moves the start or end point from left or right. Ease high and ease low act like what can be edited in the graph editor for the keyframes and affect the property-based. Randomization options. Randomize order shuffles the order in which characters animate rather than animating sequentially. This means each character appears or animates at a random time. Random seed sets the pattern for random animation order. Let's dive into an offset exercise to reinforce these concepts. Offset exercise. Offset shifts the range selector across the text, allowing us to control which characters or parts of the text are affected by the animator properties. Type offset as your text. Add a rotation property. Set the rotation to 45 degrees. Limit the range to a single character. 17 works well here. Set offset to 0 at the 0-second mark. Increase it to 100 at 1 second. Preview the animation. The range selector's start and end values define the beginning and the end of the animation's range, while offset moves the range forward or backward without adjusting the start and end directly. Typewriter effect with the smoothness. Write typewriter smoothness as your text. Feel free to add position, opacity, or scale. I prefer using a scale. Add the scale property and set it to 0. Animate the start value from 0 to 100 over 4 seconds. With the smoothness set to 100%, each character will transition smoothly as it appears. If you reduce the smoothness to 0, the characters will pop in almost instantly as they enter the range selector. Character offset exercise. This technique is often seen in spy movies. Type password as your text. Add the character offset and set it to 5. Animate the start value to reveal the current characters starting at 0 seconds. At 4 seconds, set the start value to 100. Move the indicator and preview the scene. To enhance the effect, add opacity. Set it to 0 and let the range selector do the rest. Improve character value exercise. Let's try a different approach with this exercise. Write a text. Password. And instead of character offset, use character value to animate Unicode values. 65 is A, 66 is B, 67 is C, and 88 is X. At 0 seconds, animate the start value, then set it to 100 at 2 seconds. Take a look. To make the characters jump from X to the text you wrote, reduce the smoothness to 0. Good. Add a bit of space between the characters by adding the tracking property and adjusting it to 35. Next, add a scale property. Set it to 55 and preview the scene. With the range selector animating the character value, a 0 smoothness makes the animation strong and fast. By adjusting the scale or tracking, the range selector moves the characters from the property values to their real values. Enjoy the effect. Let's do an exercise with ease high and ease low. As a reminder, ease high and ease low make animations start or finish smoothly, giving them a more natural flow. First, write a text. Lord of the Rings. Next, add a rotation property, then enable per character 3D. So each character rotates individually. Move the rotations around and test out different pivot points, then reset them. Set the X rotation value to -180. Add a keyframe for the start value at 0 seconds, then set it to 100 at 4 seconds, so the characters rotate sequentially. By default, they'll move at a linear speed. Now, increase ease high to 100 and preview. See how the characters start slowly, then pick up speed toward the end. If you reverse it to -100, it'll start fast and ease into a soft finish. Ease low does the same thing, but works in reverse. Let's reduce ease high to -50 for a smoother effect. Add opacity to 0 for a fade-in effect. Preview to see it in action. Anchor point adjustment. If you want to rotate from a different anchor point, you might assume moving the layer's anchor will work, but nothing changes. It's likely because each character has its own anchor. Upon closer inspection, I noticed I've added a property to my text characters. The characters have their own anchor points, which you can find it in More Options section. To adjust this, find the anchor point grouping, place it in the middle, and the rotation should work smoothly across the new pivot. Preview it for final adjustments. Now that we've covered two principles, let's put them to use. Start by creating a new composition and adding some text like Lord of the Rings. Step 1. Increase the tracking in the font panel to give the letters some extra space. Add the position property and move the text upward. Animate the start value from 0 to 100 over 2 seconds. Preview it. Add another property, like a scale or opacity, and set opacity to 0. Step 2. Let's reduce the space between characters. A quick test. If you add tracking to the first animator, it will apply all at once, along with position and opacity. But we want tracking to happen after the initial animation, so let's fix that. Delete the tracking from the first animator. Deselect everything, then add a new animator and select tracking. Now, you will have a second animator and use the first principle. At the 2-second mark, animate tracking, then move forward and decrease the tracking amount. Preview to see the effect. Feel free to combine these principles in one text layer. Just remember to set up separate animators to keep things organized. Final exercise. Add a new text layer and write Principle 02. Add the position property and enable pair character 3D. Then add rotation, fill color, and blur. Next, move the Z position to -2700 to bring it close to the camera. Animate the start property. Set it to 0 at the beginning. Then go to 10 seconds and change it to 100. Now, active randomization. Let's work on rotation. Rotate the X value to 93 degrees. Rotate the Y to -180 degrees. Finally, set the Z rotation to -146 degrees. And set the blur to 25. Give it one last preview. You can adjust the Y or X positions too for extra movement. Looking good! In this episode, we took a deeper look at animated range selectors, learned about ease settings, smoothness, randomization, and made text animation feel more dynamic. Practicing these techniques will help you shape your style in motion typography. So stay curious and keep experimenting with each principle to make your animations stand out. You can grab the project file in the description and feel free to mix up these animations for your intros or outros. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell for more motion design tips. Until next time, keep pushing those creative boundaries. See you soon on the daily life of a motion designer.